thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com, and today we are talking about Scooby-Doo. Before we begin, I'll have everyone introduce themselves, and Alexa will start with you.
Hello, I am Alexa LAWLOR, host of the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast.
Wendy.
Hi guys, I'm Wendy BRYDGE. I'm a commissioned artist. I've been collecting Scooby for over 30 years.
DANII.
I'm DANII MEGER, world record collector, and I have the biggest collection of Scooby-Doo memorabilia and teach about collecting.
And Joel.
Hey there, I'm Joel from the YouTube channel Planet Scooby.
I am so excited that we are finally talking about Scooby-Doo as a character. I don't know why we waited this long to talk about Scooby, but we did. And now it's here, and this is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. So Scooby, whose real name is Scoobert, which I think we learned in a pup named Scooby-Doo, that his name was Scoobert, and every time his mom said it, Shaggy would laugh because he thought it was funny, is a Great Dane who loves food, especially Scooby snacks. He was originally supposed to be a sheepdog and named Too Much. Thankfully, they made him a Great Dane and named him Scooby because I don't know why they would name a dog Too Much.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he's not too much. He's adorable. And I would love to have a real Scooby because that'd be so great. According to his bio, he has black eyes. He stands 12 paws high and weighs 70 pounds. And he is just perpetually 7 years old. He wears a teal collar with a diamond-shaped dog tag and that has his initials on it. And I mean, it's iconic. Everyone knows Scooby's dog tag and collar. So what are your thoughts on Scooby the character? Alexa?
I want a dog named Too Much, I think, actually. I love Scooby. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love Scooby. He's always been one of my favorite characters of the gang. Like who doesn't love Scooby? He's cute, he's funny, he's relatable.
Wendy?
Yeah, he's kind of the perfect character because when he needs to be brave, he's brave. He can overcome whatever fear he has to do what needs to get done to help his friends. But because he's still got that cowardly streak, like I think most of us do. I don't think most of us are like the typical like what knight in shining armor. I think we're more like, do I really want to get involved in that? I'm a little bit scared. But because he has that humble side to him too, he's super likable because you never feel like he's trying to show you up or that he's better than you. And that makes him, like Alexa said, he's relatable and he's just so sweet. I love how, Ewo said that when he designed Scooby, that Scooby's kind of the antithesis of what like a prize-winning Great Dane would look like, with like the hump in his back and the way that his legs bow out and like his little chin and everything. And yet him being the opposite of what like a perfect Great Dane would be, he still looks like the most perfect dog ever though, because he's just so sweet and cute that it just totally works. And I feel like you wouldn't necessarily know that was where they were going with the style to make him like not the perfect dog, because he is the perfect dog. That's I think that's the bottom line. Scooby wouldn't have been around this long if he wasn't the perfect dog. And yeah, I would like a Scooby as well, I have to say.
DANII, what are your thoughts on Scooby?
I do have an important question. Do we think the 12 paws is like how you measure a horse to his shoulders? Or is paws different in dog measuring? I've always kind of wondered that, and I'm like, this is a weird question to ask, but you guys, I feel like you guys would understand. So think about that, mull that over. But I think what one of the things that makes Scooby special is that he's a really good blend of like human characteristics and still definitely a dog. So I feel like that's why people are like, he's relatable, and we're like, that's a dog. So it's both things put together. He's having a wholesome good time. He cares. He goes through the different emotions, you know, and that just like all comes together into, I want to protect this dog. Thank you.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby?
I had a question about the weight because the amount Scooby eats. Where do you weigh him? The
He
dog
has
is,
to be more than 70 pounds. My dog is 60,
yeah.
and he's
Mhm.
nowhere near the size of a Great Dane.
Like, aren't Great Danes like gigantic?
Yeah.
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 He works out. Fine.
He does do a lot of running, so yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're quite active.
And I wouldn't mind a dog named Too Much either. I like the name. It's a 60s thing, I guess.
It would be weird to yell at a dog named Too Much.
You'd probably give him a cute short name. I don't know what though.
Tui.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute.
But Scooby-Doo's the best, and that's why we're all here. And it's hard to like quantify Scooby-Doo. It's hard to put, for me at least, the words. So I'll be the worst guest today because I'll be like, don't know how to say this.
Fine. You'll figure it out. It'll all be good. We're going to get into Scooby's origin stories, and if I have forgotten any, just say so. In Scooby Goes Hollywood, while looking at a photo album, Velma was reminiscing about how they found Scooby. They found him at Grillo's pet store. Scooby was doing silly things to get their attention and show that he had character. Shaggy said he had too much character, but Velma said he was wonderful and picked him up. I love that. I was kind of upset because I was watching it today. I was kind of upset that Shaggy was like, he has too much character. And I'm just like, no. But Velma saved the day, so it was all good.
Guys, do you think that that was like a little nod to him supposed to be called Too Much in the beginning? Do you think maybe that's why they threw that in there?
To be.
Oh,
right?
That's a good
That was pretty
point.
early on, so
Yeah.
maybe.
That's a good point. Yeah. In A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Scooby and his siblings were born at Nittingham Puppy Farm. The one thing that I did find weird, kind of a side note, was that in the Where Do of Do Manor, we learned that Scooby's house had an indoor swimming pool and an indoor tennis court and a jungle room. And like at no other point in any series did Scooby's family have a ton of money except in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. So I just thought I'd throw that in there because that was interesting. In Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, Zoinks the Wonder Dog, Scooby was jealous over Shaggy's long-lost dog Zoinks, who I don't know why he was there, but it's fine. He was there, a little white dog, not as cute as Scooby. So Fives made a robot version of Scooby's original owner, Groovy Dawn, who was a guitar strumming hippie. And that also means that Shaggy was not Scooby's original owner. And I don't know how I feel about that. In The Mystery Begins, Scooby was in a pet adoption fair, but he wasn't adopted. While the fair was being moved to the next location, Scooby's cage fell out of the truck and the cage broke. Scooby tried to run after the truck, but he couldn't catch it. So he ran for a long time because by the time he ran and went into Shaggy's bedroom window, it was dark out. And he landed on Shaggy's bed on Shaggy. They scared each other for a while and then they decided to be friends. And then in Scooby was a homeless puppy who was trying to steal food from a restaurant. He was chased by the police and he hid behind the sandcastle. And then Shaggy lied and said that he was his dog and that his name was Scooby because he read it off the box. And they shared a sandwich and then they were best friends ever since. Well, till they remove Scooby's collar, but we're not going to get into that. So what do you guys think of Scooby's origin stories, and is there anything that you can think of that I missed? Wendy?
Yeah, there's one other one that I was thinking of. So, and I love that this has a little bit of continuity, because I feel like sometimes Scooby gets criticized for a lack of continuity, but there is continuity sometimes, even in classic Scooby. And so I love that. So in the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, the episode Happy Birthday, Scooby-Doo, we get to see some of Scooby's past things. And there's a really cute scene of baby Scooby and baby Shaggy with like a little bonnet and stuff, and they're playing patty cake. So they're both babies and they're together. And I love that because, yeah, I'm not a fan of the idea of them meeting later on or when they're older, or Scooby having like another owner. Kind of ruins the magic for me. So we get to see that, which fits, in my opinion, with a pup named Scooby-Doo, and kind of like the fact that they're all together, because they're pretty young in pup. I don't think that they're over 10. I think they're more like 8-ish. Would you say about that age in there? I think that's kind of how I look at them. But I also love how in that flashback in Happy Birthday, Scooby-Doo, same scene, they talk about the first babysitter that they ever had. And she is like this really cool Bride of Frankenstein character. But then in a pup named Scooby-Doo, in the episode of The Babysitter from Beyond, Shaggy also has a babysitter who is definitely designed to be like a Bride of Frankenstein type thing. And I think that continuity, we can probably assume, was at least kind of deliberate, because Tom Ruegger wrote both episodes just 4 years apart. So I really hat tip for that little piece of continuity. I think that's really, really fun. Still can't excuse the worst faux pas in all of Scooby-Dum, though, in that Happy Birthday Scooby-Doo episode where they got Fred's name wrong. Freddie Rogers.
Yes, it's your friend, Freddie Rogers.
That, I want to slap somebody. Because when I was like 6 or 7 years old watching that, I picked up on that immediately and was like, what? How did you make that mistake? I can even get over like the whole kissing cousins business later on, like, you know, in other iterations. I can get over that. I can make justification. I can find ways around that. But yeah, the name thing, no, it's absolutely not. But definitely love the little bit of continuity between those two series and keeping the integrity of Scooby and Shaggy in particular from the time they were born, almost. Because they're kind of not just, like, Scooby's not just a pet, but Scooby's also not just a member of the gang. The more that I go back and rewatch all of the classic episodes, I'm like, Scooby's kind of like Shaggy's brother. Like, that's how close they are. Like, they're family beyond just like a pet owner. You know, any dogs that I've had, like, they're my family. Absolutely. I treat them like humans, but I've never had one where we were so close that it would be like my sibling. But that's how I kind of look at Scooby and Shaggy. So I think they need to be, if we're going to have any origin story for Scooby, that needs to be it. The first friend that either of them ever had was each other, and they love each other as if they were family, because they are family. They really are. Scooby's not a pet. He might be a dog, but he's not a pet. He's family.
Yeah, I agree with that. DANII, what are your thoughts on Scooby's origin?
I feel like a lot of them have like bits and pieces I like, except for Get a Clue. But like, I don't like the idea that Scooby was at a pet store specifically. For some reason, I'm like, they would be like Adopt-O shop. Like, you know, that feels like my kind of vibe. I also like, I don't know when we started using puppy farm as like specifically a negative connotation, so that one's always like a little bit weird for me. I'm like, I think they're just like breeders, I guess, but puppy farm is too close to like puppy mountain. But I do like that, like, that's how they know the family. Like, if the Knittinghams, I guess in general, are like responsible breeders, and they keep track of where all, and then that's all happy and safe and fun. So I guess that one is they met as kids, or as young as possible, and then Shaggy and Scooby just kind of like bonded, and then the rest of the gang was like, yeah, let's go, we have a puppy now, and then they're all together. So I just like that kind of stuff, definitely. I also like the Mystery Begins one, made me so sad. Who wouldn't adopt Scooby? Don't even something different. I'm insulted. It's fine. Put him in a cage.
He did attack the girl's dad and like lick him, and then
attack.
He was so excited.
He was excited because he was gonna get adopted, and then he was too affectionate, and apparently they don't like dogs that are that affectionate.
I guess a lot of people are afraid of big dogs, which is fair enough, but I wouldn't call it an attack. Yeah, I'm happy with them being cute little friends as babies, and just good time. Just a good time.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's origin stories?
I'd have to, like Danny said, I was just like bits and pieces of each one as well. I was thinking too, there's like the Scooby-Doo movies, the Loch Ness episode. Remember they go look in the photo book? I don't know if it's an origin, but they're pretty young. Like, I can't even remember. Shaggy's like 5 or something. I don't know. Scooby's pretty young.
Yeah.
And I guess I saw it most recently, which has been 2020 for origin stories, would be Scoob. That was really cute. Everything after, not a big fan of, but I like the setup of Scoob, I guess, where they just meet on a beach. If I had to pick one, maybe I'd go with that one. That's all I got.
Puppy Scooby is adorable.
Yeah.
And we need more of him.
Yes.
Because he was so cute.
Yeah.
That was the good part of that movie.
Yeah.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's origin stories?
I'm gonna take a slightly different direction, I think. Because I really do appreciate when they have Scooby in like various different situations, whether that be like the pet store or in Mystery Begins when they're at like the pet fair. And I always I picture the pet store in Goes Hollywood to be like related to like an animal rescue, so they're like still adopting him, because that's what they do, like locally at least. They like partner with a bunch of different rescues, so you're like still adopting, but you like see them at the pet store when you're like getting cat food for your other cat and you need another cat, kind of thing.
Need another cat.
This is how you end up with lots of cats. But I think that in a way, like, your pet chooses you. So even if Scooby like wasn't adopted by anyone else, that was for a reason, because Scooby had to find Shaggy in the gang. Like, that's just like, it had to happen. You know, like fate or destiny or whatever, I don't know, but it just makes sense that like Scooby has to find Shaggy. Like, that's his perfect like owner best friend match. So I like those kinds of storylines. If I had to pick my favorite, it would probably be Goes Hollywood, because like even in the last like 3 weeks, whenever I say the word character or someone else says the word character, I immediately go to like when Scooby says character and like starts like performing. So that one just sticks in my brain for sure. And honorable mention, it's not a full origin, but honorable mention to the flashback frisbee scene in Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that one. So we're going to talk about voice actors, and I'm going to read the list of all the voice actors, and then I'll let everyone else talk because you'll be sick of hearing me. So Don Messick was the original voice of Scooby-Doo from 1969 to 1996, and Hadley Kaye voiced Scooby and Bravo Doobie-Doo. Frank Welker voiced Baby Scooby in Scooby Goes Hollywood, and then he has voiced Scooby since 2002. Keith Scott voiced Scooby for the Paws commercial, Bill Farmer for the ABC Family Fun Fair, Greg Burson for the Prime Star commercial, Scott Innes voiced Scooby for Zombie Island, which is Ghost, the Scooby-Doo Project, Alien Invaders, Scooby-Doo's Haunted Mansion, Cyber Chase, and then he does a lot of the toys. He's typically the one that does voice any Scooby toys, even now. Neil Fanning for Scooby-Doo live action movies. J.P. Minot voiced Brainiac Scooby in Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. James Arnold Taylor did some additional lines in Monsters Unleashed. Jeff Bergman voiced Scooby for the Boomerang UK Bumpers. Jess Harnell voiced human Scooby-Doo in Big Top Scooby-Doo, which is a very weird thing to say. It's just a very weird thing to say. A couple of voice actors I missed during recording. Rich Little voiced Scooby for Canada's Wonderland live shows, the 1984 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and Ice Capades. And Mark Silk voiced Scooby for the UK and Ireland bumpers, ADDICTS commercial, the Scooby-Doo and the Pirate Ghost live on stage commercial, and the Lego Scooby-Doo commercial. And then we have the people that were in the live stage shows. So you have David Droxler in Stage Fright Live on Stage, Pierre-Marc Dionette. I apologize if I'm killing people's names. I'm so sorry. Also Stage Fright Live on Stage. Jamie Brown was Scooby in Scooby-Doo and the Pirate Ghost. Cody Collier in Scooby-Doo Live Musical Mysteries. Eddie Arnold, Scooby-Doo Live The Mystery of the Pyramid. Joe Goldie, Scooby-Doo Live Musical Mysteries. Clement Shabash and Gabriella Jovian Mazan for Scooby-Doo and the Lost City of Gold. I am so sorry about the names. So sorry. And then we had some in unofficial, like not Scooby related things, but Seth MacFarlane and Family Guy, Mark Hamill for Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, Dave Coulier in Robot Chicken, Seth Green, Robot Chicken, James Arnold Taylor, Drawn Together, Kevin Shinnick, and Mikey Day in Mad. So voice actors, what are your thoughts on the voice actors for Scooby-Doo? Danny?
Well, this is a part that's very close to my heart, of course, being in the industry. I think it's really interesting because I feel like Scooby's voice is one that people think that they can recreate quite easily, but it is a very specific mastery because you have to be understandable and also not at all understandable, which is really cool. So you got to get the correct tones in there. Of course, obviously, I got some favoritism to Don Messick, who like brought Scooby to life in the first place. But also Frank Welker is just insanely talented. So he will always be my pick. And I wish that they did do it a little bit more consistent, like even across toys and stuff like that, because like they sound great, don't get me wrong, but like when you're used to Scooby's voice, you might not be able to like immediately, unless you're one of us probably, like be like, oh, but I can hear the differences between them, and I'm just kind of like, eh, oh no, it's okay, like it's good, everything's fine. I just hear it and recognize it. So I think the just the practice and the having the right kind of heart in the Scooby voice is kind of my favorite thing.
Can you do a Scooby voice?
No, that's not in my zone. I do get people tell me I sound like Vilma, and I'm like, no, I do not.
Joel, what are your thoughts on the voice actors of Scooby-Doo?
there are a lot of voice actors, and yeah, I do wish, like Danny said, there was more consistency across the board. Don Messick, obviously my favorite because I just love classic Scooby-Doo, and it's just, I don't know how, like the first season he just nailed it. Well, I guess I do know how. He's a talented man, probably had years of experience leading up to it, but I kind of always looked at Scooby-Doo like, just, you look at the Flintstones, you have Dino, and Dino is like full on, I don't know if he's a dog, but whatever Dino is, just dog voice, right? And then Scooby just kind of like, do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I know making sense, but Scooby just kind of, they took Dino, like the household dog, and then they went to Scooby and just did this whole new thing that just kind of changed cartoons forever. Like everything after Scooby was kind of like a copy, right? That they ripped off, and like Dino isn't as beloved as Scooby. It's more the whole Flintstones family, or Fred Flintstone, right? He's the icon. But Scooby is just, I think it owes a lot to Don Messick. Without Don Messick, I don't know if Scooby would be as popular. And then, of course, Don Messick can't do it forever. And I think Frank Welker does a good job. I'm not as familiar with 2002 onward. I know there's some controversy, or not controversy, but some people dislike how Scooby suddenly talks a little more with Frank Welker. I don't know if that's Frank Welker's decision or scripted or just evolution of Scooby, but yeah, Don Messick's my fave. And Scott Innes. I like Scott Innes. And the toys and all that.
I think that it's really interesting that, just to kind of follow up on Joel's point, that like with the Flintstones, like you relate more to the human characters, and like that's kind of who you think of immediately. Like Jetsons wise, I think of Astro, but that's just because obviously reminds me of Scooby in that way too. But with Scooby, like it's the name of the show is Scooby-Doo, obviously. So then you kind of think of him first. And then voice actor wise, I think it's really interesting how at least I can kind of associate a different voice with a different era or a different project. And I really like that. Like for the live action movies, for example, like I wouldn't necessarily have wanted like Frank Welker to do the voice for that, because it just like it makes it work in its own universe, is how I like to think of it. And kind of the same for like Velma in Be Cool Scooby-Doo, like Kate Micucci in Be Cool, that is that universe's Velma, and it just makes sense to me in that way. So that's kind of how I like look at it with Scooby, but like obviously like Don Messick is the main kind of person that I think of when I think of the Scooby-Doo's voice. And like I'm not super familiar with a lot of the commercials, and I've never seen one of the like live stage plays, so I don't know how like those compare necessarily. But I also think it's really interesting how each person has like a different spin on it, but it's still obviously Scooby-Doo.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's voice actors?
Yeah, obviously Don is also my favorite, and I'm kind of a snob. Well, I'm a snob with a lot of things, but in particular tonight, I am a snob with Scooby's voice, because just to say first, props to anybody who has ever voiced Scooby, because that has got to be like a really daunting task. Because like Danny said, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, that'll be easy. Just add some R's and roll them, you know? And but no, that's not even close to what it takes to be that. But even though I appreciate everyone that's done it, there's never been anyone that even came close to being able to imitate in any capacity what Don was able to do with that voice, even as Pup Scooby in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. It just, I'm even kind of surprised that no one, because like I can think of a number of people that have voiced Shaggy, and they're great. maybe I like Casey more, but they're really, really close to Casey. And I mean, Scott Innes does a really great Casey Kasem impersonation. Like, he sounds like Casey. But I've never heard anyone imitate Don Messick and have it work on any level for me. So for me, Scooby will always be Don, and anything else it's okay. I don't mind it, but there's no comparison for me. I'm like, okay, well, in a way, Scooby kind of died with Don a little bit for me. But like I say, if everybody has other favorites, that's great, because Scooby's still alive in that capacity, and it's obvious that everyone does the best that they can. I feel like nobody's kind of like half-assing it, you know, whether they're good at it or not is kind of irrelevant. Like, you can tell that they're really trying. They want to get it something that's enjoyable, and I totally appreciate that. I think that's fantastic. But fun fact on voices and Scooby, courtesy of long phone calls with Scott Gerald's about all kinds of fun things. So the wiki page mentioned Dave Coulier, who of course was Joey in Full House, that he did Scooby in one episode of Robot Chicken. But Dave, at the same time that Frank did, sent an audition tape for the voice of Scooby when Scott was doing Legend of the Vampire, which actually, even though that aired in 2003, it does predate What's New Scooby-Doo, which came out in the fall of 2002. But both of those direct-to-TV movies, Legend of the Vampire, Monster of Mexico, were done production before they even started on What's New. So Dave tried out for the part of Scooby, and Scott says that he was really, really good, and he almost went with him. So I think that would have been a really fun, like, I haven't seen the Robot Chicken episode, so I don't know what Dave sounds like as Scooby, but knowing how adamant Scott was of trying to, like, get the band back together for those movies and make it as much of a like a love note to OG Scooby as he possibly could, I'm sure that Dave must have done a good job for him to have even considered it. But I think that's a really cool thing. I would like to maybe in the future they will explore that, because unpopular opinion, I love Frank. Frank can do no wrong. Not a big fan of Frank's Scooby though. I'm not a big fan of it. It, like Alexa said, all of them kind of do suit the era that they're in. And it is, in a way, it is nice to be able to differentiate those eras just based on who's voicing Scooby and what it sounds like. But I'm not a fan of him talking more in like complete sentences, and because I feel like it kind of gets jumbled up, and somehow he's even harder to understand when he's saying like 10 times the amount of words. And he's also got like a little more attitude now. Modern Scooby's got like a bit of an edge to it, and I can appreciate it. And I can appreciate especially someone like a veteran like Frank giving the character his own spin on it, you know, because it's, I don't know that any voice actor is not going to do that with any character, make it their own to some degree. But it just doesn't do it for me. I'm not a big fan. When I think of Frank, I'm like Freddy, period. I don't even need anything else other than that. But yeah, everyone does their best, and I appreciate it. But I wish that Don could have been around a little bit longer to do more of the projects, because especially Don with Casey, you can't recreate it. You just can't. They were those characters, at least for me. And when anybody says Scooby and Shaggy, there could be 10,000 iterations of them. It doesn't matter. I'm always going to think of Casey and Don, and Don's just like, he was it. He was it. And there's unfortunately never going to be another Don, but props to everybody that continues to keep Scooby alive. And I know everybody does their best, but yeah, there's only one Don Messick.
I feel like I hear that kind of like sentiment a lot, where like, oh, he says more now. That is not the voice actors. That has nothing to do with it. And if you look at the basis of Scooby's voice, when Don made it. One thing, they said that his smoking was one of the reasons he could maintain the sounds in that. So any voice actor who doesn't smoke, which would be a lot of them because it's terrible for your voice, that's like an edge that gets taken away. But also when that bass voice was created, it was created for sentences that were short. So if you're trying to maintain a voice that was designed with short sentences in mind, and then you're given long sentences, you're out of luck for like the rest of it. So I do think there is a lot of writing, especially with the sass and everything like that. That is more of the writing, and while the voice actors can add like their own little zhuzh to it, the writing, the length, the attitude, all that, completely out of their hands.
Good that you guys are bringing these fun facts. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the evolution of Scooby. I feel like he has pretty much stayed the same for the most part. Like, he's probably the character that they've changed the least out of the 5 in the gang. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know. Joel, what are your thoughts on the evolution of Scooby?
Oh, I wish you didn't ask me first. Because I'm the least knowledgeable and of the evolution, because I don't know the modern stuff that much more, but like it's come up, Wendy and Danny just said it, like Scooby sass is not something I like. I like just comfortable Scooby, comfortable warm blanket Scooby who's just loyal to Shaggy, doesn't give Shaggy attitude, gave Shaggy a bit of attitude in like the 8-Man episode early on, and Shaggy asked him to shut up or something, but that was the only bit we really saw where Shaggy was actually mean to Scooby, and it wasn't that mean. Like, being pet owners, we probably said meaner things to our pets. We just took it personally because it was Scooby.
The things are
yeah.
you saying to your pets?
When they're bad, you know? When they poop in the where they're not supposed to poop. You're like, bad dog. Or who did this? And they cower and they're like, I'm sorry. But yeah, modern Scooby. Yeah, I don't like the sass, I guess. But Nikki, you do have a point. He's like, out of all of them, he's changed the least. I guess that's fair to say. He's basically Scooby. I'm gonna end it right there because I just want to know what everyone else has to say.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on the evolution of Scooby?
I guess I'm the opposite. I love a good sarcastic Scooby-Doo. Like, I feel like I'm gonna come back to Be Cool Scooby-Doo because that's like my favorite series. They really went back to the roots there with like trying to have Scooby say sentences that are like 5 words or less generally. But in those 5 words or less, like some of his lines are the funniest thing that has like ever come out of Scooby-Doo's mouth, but it's also sarcastic at times. And I love that. I love giving Scooby-Doo a little bit more personality than like, oh, I love Shaggy and that's it, and I love food and I'm scared. Like, give him a bit of an edge. He deserves it. He can have some sarcasm.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on the evolution of Scooby?
For me, I have more of a problem with like Scooby's physical appearance and how it has been altered over the years. Like I mentioned earlier, Scooby is such a perfect character because even though he's the opposite of like what should be perfect, he's still perfect somehow. He's perfectly lovable. He's perfectly adorable. And he's all of the things that you want him to be just by looking at him. Like, just by looking at Scooby in those classic series, you can kind of tell what his personality is going to be like. And I think that's really a special thing. I just can't get over the way that they changed Scooby's appearance in Be Cool and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy Get a Clue, because I'm just not, because I'm an artist, I'm a visual person, and I'm also someone who doesn't like a lot of change. And I'm like, well, I understand when you're changing like the integrity of the show, the different design makes sense for it. The added humor is not necessarily going to land properly if you're using classic visual design. And I understand that. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but I get it. So I'm not actually criticizing it, but I just don't like how they've kind of taken what I thought was like a really good looking dog and just kind of, I don't know. I feel like sometimes he's like the derpy Mexican Scooby bootleg toy in a series. And I'm like, well, Mexican bootleg Scooby toys are cool, but I don't want Scooby to become that. I want him to maintain that like pristine, wonderful, you know, like my personal favorite of all the toys that they've made. I personally think that is like the best looking Scooby toy that they've done. That's my opinion. I love him. I think he's just perfect, and you get like all of his shape. That's Scooby for me. I don't want him to be tweaked and changed. Don't give him extra spots even. I don't like, he's great. He's great. Can we just not body shame Scooby or any of that? But yeah, I definitely take more of an issue with like physically making changes than even giving him the attitude or making him speak more or whatever changes there are. But for the most part, though, I think the important thing is that they maintain the integrity of his character. And even when he's being like sarcastic, sassy Scooby, you do pretty much retain, you know, like Scooby's internal character. It doesn't change it that much. So that's what's really important, in my opinion, when you have a character and you're trying to perpetuate that for a long period of time while still reinventing it. If you can keep the integrity of the character intact, okay, you can fiddle around with it. Some of us will just choose not to watch it very often, but that's fine. But I think they've done a reasonable job with the character of Scooby in keeping him Scooby in spite of any of the tweaks that they've made to like his attitude or how he looks. He's still Scooby and we still love him.
Danny, what are your thoughts on the evolution of Scooby?
There's definitely points where I'm like not as happy. Velma, you got rid of him. weird choice on that. I definitely don't like that one. But I do like the sass specifically. I've liked in the whole gang, and I feel like Scooby just picked up on it from everybody else in the gang. They just passed it on, and he's like, I'm being left out, here we go. So I really like that. It's just some added humor, and it's definitely like, to me, what makes it special is that it's very friend humor. They're not actually being mean to each other. They're not actually making fun of each other. It is definitely like, we're friends, so I'm gonna poke fun at you kind of thing. So that's why it still stays like true to Scooby, I think, in a lot of our minds, is because he's just like poking fun back, but still loves them and is still being sweet. I think that's one of the reasons why Be Cool meant a lot to me. Right away, as soon as we were talking about like Scooby isn't a pet, I thought of like, do you? Which I always say to people now. That like that episode just, oh my god, it sticks in your brain. And I like how it like addressed that exact kind of topic. Definitely like some style changes. I'm like, that's like kind of weird, but as long as Scooby's cute, I'm like pretty happy. Like, don't make him not cute. Especially like all the angles. Like, Get a Clue? He's a great many angles, and I don't know why that's weird to me, but I'm like, there's two. He's sharp. What happened? But yeah, I feel like he's got an evolution that updates him with the times, but is still very much our silly little pup.
So let's talk about his role in the gang. I mean, he's basically comic relief with Shaggy, Bait. And I think he's there to make sure that Shaggy keeps his slim figure. I mean, he does eat most of Shaggy's food, and you can't have Shaggy gain weight, so yeah. Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's role in the gang?
I'm gonna bring up a Scoob quote here where I don't quote me accurately on this, but when Simon Cowell's like talking to like Fred, Daphne, and Velma, and he calls Daphne the heart of the gang, Scooby-Doo is the heart of the gang. Like, he is what brings them together in a way, because like they would be friends and they would be totally like fine solving mysteries without Scooby, but when you add him in, it adds like a sense of family almost. Like, they take care of this dog together, because even if he's like not necessarily a pet, you still have to like make sure that he's doing well, because like even though he's like pretty like anthropomorphic, is that the word? I think like he still needs to be able to like have people to bond with and like dogs to bond with. Like, we'll talk about family later, but yeah, Scooby-Doo's the heart of the gang.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's role in the gang?
Yeah, to kind of build off of what Alexa was saying, for me, Scooby's the glue that holds the gang together. And it really is kind of that pet aspect of it, that even though in the show, obviously we're essentially seeing Scooby take care of himself for the most part. Like, he does act very human-like in many ways. But I feel like even as a child, you understand what a dog is and what a dog is like as a pet, and the fact that it needs care and you have to be willing to look after it. You know, it's not independent. It wants to love you, but it wants love back as well. And so I think that does kind of create the dynamic that Scooby has with all of the members of the gang, not just Shaggy, because there is that little bit of like a pet aspect to it, where at the end of the day, he's still a dog and they have to care for him and look after him. So I don't know that. Well, I mean, I guess that there have been shows that are similar to Scooby, but like minus the dog holding it together. But I feel like that just, no matter how interesting your story is or how wonderful your graphics and your visuals are, if there's nothing like binding it together, it's not going to work, or it's not going to last. And Scooby is common ground for all of them. You know, what I love best about classic Scooby is that there isn't any like infighting. We don't have to see like anything negative between the gang. They're just friends doing what they do. But I think Scooby might be a big part of that, because he's there and he's this wonderful thing that they all love and they share him. Like, that sounds, I don't know, for some reason that didn't sound good coming out of my mouth, but they do. They share Scooby's love. They share Scooby's affection. They share affection for Scooby, and they have love for Scooby. You know, when Scooby gets kidnapped in Decoy for a dog napper, I mean, they are all hands on deck. Go and get Scooby. We need to get Scooby. Scooby, are you okay? You know, and they genuinely care about him. So I think Scooby's the glue of the gang. He holds it all together. I feel like they each kind of have their own flavor of relationship with him, even though obviously we don't really get to explore that a great deal in classic Scooby, like what his relationship is to each individual in the gang aside from Shaggy. It's more of like a Scooby with the rest of the gang, kind of all grouped into one. But I don't mind that either, because it also, that common ground kind of makes it, for me anyway, that I don't really need them to expand on how the other, like the rest of the gang, interact with Scooby. It's kind of just implied just by what they did do and what we are watching, and it works. It works for me. I've never been left feeling like, oh, I want to know more than what they told me. If I want to know more, I have a great imagination. I'll imagine it, and that's great, you know. But it's definitely a show where I've never felt like I had to do that. I feel like some shows, they have good bones or they have like good ideas, but the execution's just like lacking a little bit, and it's kind of boring, and like you want to like it, but you really have to use your own imagination outside of the show to kind of make it more enjoyable for yourself. And I feel like if it's a good show, you shouldn't have to do that. And with Scooby, I've never had to do that. I'm like, how you're doing it, what you're doing, everyone's relationship, like it works without having to try. My brain analyzes it, accepts it, and we move on. And it's great. And I think that's one of the unique aspects of Scooby-Doo that a lot of shows are lacking. And I think that's why they don't quite have the same longevity and fan base that Scooby has. Because Scooby just works. It just, like, what else can you say? The show just works. They have tried countless times to replicate the formula, but Scooby's not a formula. You can plug that formula in 1,000 different ways and you're never going to get another Scooby, because Scooby just is what he is. And it was one magical moment, and maybe they've come close a couple of times with other things, but Scooby's just going to be special. Scooby is he's just his own thing. And all the other cartoons in the world can go away tomorrow. It really doesn't matter. As long as we still have Scooby, I think that we'll all be okay with just Scooby, because Scooby's the glue for all of us too. Look at how many people come together because they love Scooby. And even if you have other aspects of your life that people don't agree with or that you don't agree with, when you're talking about Scooby, it's kind of irrelevant. Doesn't matter. I don't even need to know what else people like or don't like. If we're talking about Scooby and you love Scooby too, we can talk about Scooby and get along, because Scooby's that amazing. So Scooby, obviously we love you because you're just the best thing in the world. And you're kind of like all of our pet/family. I think we all kind of view Scooby a little bit like a piece of our family.
Yeah, I like that. DANII, what are your thoughts on Scooby's role in the gang?
I think one thing that is cool about how like universal kind of Scooby is that you could take him and place him with any member of the gang and it would not be weird. Like if you look at What's New Scooby-Doo, they have Toy Scare Boo, where they're like, oh yeah, we can separate it differently, and Shaggy and Fred are like, help. But it's all right where Scooby is, because like it doesn't matter. Put him with Velma, he's having a good time. Put him with Daphne, he's gonna have a good time. They're both gonna, have a good time. So that, like, I think that's why, even though they don't really highlight that very often, I think everybody kind of gets that vibe where it's like, where do we need Scooby? Because wherever Scooby is, he'll be fine. I think it's good. It's wholesome.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's role in the gang?
I'm trying to think of a way to deviate from everyone. So I kind of look at dogs like, I used to be a big dog sledder, and I just like high energy dogs. I like border collies, I like Dalmatians, and all these dogs were bred to have like a purpose. So I'm kind of approaching it like, what's a Great Dane's purpose? I have no clue. But I think Scooby kind of has a purpose for everyone in the group, like a different role to everyone. Like I think maybe Daphne and Velma find comfort in having a big dog around them. It's like extra security. You really can't sneak up on like a dog. So Scooby makes a great like alarm clock, even if he is a bit cowardly, at least you know someone's coming at you. Freddy sees Scooby as bait, not necessarily a mean thing. It's just Scooby's fast. He's going to get away. He's going to be safe. Of course, Scooby's a bit clumsy. He's got long limbs, kind of always foils Freddy's trap, but Freddy's persistent. And Shaggy, Scooby's just his buddy. I guess it's his role. Shaggy just kind of gets, you know, there's friends. He wants to be loyal to his friends. Scooby's great at sniffing out clues, of course. Maybe that's why Velma likes Scooby, but Shaggy likes Scooby because he sniffs out all the food.
Yeah. Scooby's great. I love Scooby. The one thing I was kind of upset about as a kid was that dogs didn't actually talk. But it's okay. It's probably better that way. My dogs know a lot. If they could talk, I'd be in trouble. We're going to talk about Scooby's family. So his parents are Mumsy and Dad-Dad-Do. I still find those names to be a little odd, but we can get into that later. Siblings are Howdy-Doo, Skippy-Doo, Yabba-Doo, and Ruby-Doo. Ruby had a son named Scrappy-Doo, which makes him Scooby's nephew, in case anyone was unclear. We have Grandpa Scooby, Great-Grandpa Scooby. Horton-Doo was Scooby's uncle. Spooky was his uncle in Archie Comics number 20. His cousins are Dixie-Doo, Dooby-Doo, Scooby-Dum, Scooby-Dee, and Whoopsie-Doo. And then he had some ancestors, Yankee Doodle-Doo, Missing Link-Doo, who is, by the way, a skeleton of a dog, which is kind of cool and kind of creepy at the same time. And Nasty-Doo, which is his great uncle. Yeah. So, your thoughts on Scooby's family? Wendy?
Yeah, Scooby's got a big family. Some of these names, I'm telling you, I feel like it would be fun to just go through and make new cousins for Scooby with just like the most ridiculous things. I mean, it could be fun. But anyway, obviously, for me, I can never decide which one is actually my favorite, Scrappy or Scooby-Dee. I don't know, but I love both of them. They're both, let's tie them for my favorites. I'm also a really big fan of Uncle Horton, because Uncle Horton likes all the spooky stuff. You know, when he's pulling the stuff out of his jacket there in Where Do of Dew Manor, and it's like, rah, rats, ran skreritons. And I'm like, come home with me. Have a laboratory in my house. Have skeletons and bats and whatever that creepy monster hand was. Bring it all. You can come live here. It's okay. Even if he had actually had like a Jekyll and Hyde where he was actually turning into Nasty-Doo, bring Nasty as well. It's fine. It's fine. I have room. I have room for this because this is super cool. Kind of feel like it would be fun to do a series with Uncle Horton and Velma where they do science-y type stuff. I would be totally into that. They used to do a segment. I don't think it was in the Archie comics, but maybe in the DC series that started right after that was done, that went for like 150, 156 issues. Somewhere along the line, they used to do like a 1 or 2 page story spread that was like Velma's Creatures of the World or something like that, where they would take like a real legend or a real creature that, you know, there's like a mythology behind it, and she would do like a science-y type thing, like a little lesson. And I thought that was a really cool way of still being in that spooky Scooby vein, but also like you could learn something and it would be fun. And I just feel like Horton would be like a great counterpart to Velma, which also makes me wonder if we were going to assign a member of Scooby's family to each member of the gang, who do you think would be the best suited for each other? Because, like, obviously I'm going to pair Scooby-Dee with Daphne, because they'd be like just a couple little fashionistas, you know, walking down the street. Everybody's looking at them because they look amazing. Horton with Velma, for all the reasons I've just said. Kind of think that I would enjoy seeing Freddy with Yabba-Doo. Don't know why, but I just feel like they might mesh on some kind of level. Obviously, Shaggy and Scooby, we can't break them up. But Scooby also needs a Scooby family member, and it's going to be Scrappy. You know that in spite of what Nikki's thinking right now, because I can see it all over her face, I can hear Nikki. Nikki is telepathically giving me Scrappy negativity. I'm trying to block it, but it's difficult because there's a lot of it, but that's okay. It's okay. But Scooby and Scrappy, they need to go together because I feel like Scrappy needs Scooby to like rein him in a little bit and be like, you need to calm down because you're going to get hurt or you're going to get somebody else hurt. So that's okay. But Scooby also needs Scrappy to give him like a little bit of an ego boost. You know what? You're amazing, Uncle Scooby. You can do this. I believe in you. I look up to you. I feel like that pairing needs to happen. But yeah, primarily, I don't know. I love Uncle Horton. I really do. But obviously Scrappy and Scooby-Doo are also very special to me. So, but yeah, I'm curious how anybody else would maybe mix up if we were going to assign a Doo family member to each member of the gang, what you would do.
Danny, what are your thoughts on Scooby's family?
I love the pun names. Oh my gosh. You could have so much fun with that. Overdue. He could be a librarian.
Perfect.
There you go. That's one I actually discussed with somebody the other day and I laughed way too hard at my own joke. But like it makes sense that it's a really big family. They're dogs, right? So that lines up. Free characters, free puns, like it's good. I do think that the Mumsy and Dada do so cute, but it is a weird name choice. Especially because it's like, where does it stop? Because like Ruby's a mom, you know, whatever. But I'm gonna give some favoritism to Whoopsie. I friggin' love Whoopsie. Oh my gosh, I wish we saw more of him because he's like clown, committed, you know. And I'm like, it's like the snacks. Was Whoopsie named after the fact he was a clown, or did he become a clown because he was named Whoopsie? Very, very important. But also like the fact that like some of the Scooby family has a Shaggy. You know, like Yabba and Whoopsie has McGaggy. And I just, those two together specifically just made me so happy because it was like, can we make Scooby and Shaggy goofier? We can literally make the dog a clown. And he declares his own name before he falls downstairs. Like, I just want more. I just hijacked this on my whole family. Never mind. I just want to see more Whoopsie. Please. Oh, little goofy boy. Yeah. Also, Scrappy Love Train. Just throw that in. Throw that in at the end. This Scooby agrees.
Joel, I know you're on my side. What are your thoughts on Scooby's family?
I'm trying not to come off as a grouch when I discuss this. If I had to pick one, my favorite, and it's only because I have a soft spot for this character, would be Scooby-Dum. And I think I like Scooby-Dum more because the episodes he's in are really good. I don't know if those episodes needed Scooby-Dum. But then I think back to the Gator Ghoul and Scooby meets Scooby-Dum and they have this like, it's probably only like a 30-second, like they're slapping paws or whatever. But in my head, it's like one of those Rocky montages where Rocky's training with Apollo Creed and it's just super like heteros. I don't know the word for it, but just that's that scene in my head is just that meeting where they meet. They're just, because you see that in real life when two dogs who love each other are just getting along so well and they're just, you can't separate them and they're like just turn into a big blur and they're just like running around in circles. It just, I get warm and fuzzies thinking about that. So if I were to pair with Wendy's question, if I had to pair everyone with anyone, I'd go with your rankings, but I'd put Scooby-Dum with Scooby instead of Scrappy.
Okay. Valid.
Yabba's good pair with Freddy, but I find Yabba really boring too. I want to like Yabba more, but he doesn't have much of a personality in my head. I wish they did more with Yabba. I think there's room improvement for Yabba. I want to like Yabba more. Scooby D, one episode, unforgettable. Love Scooby D. And we all know that phrase, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I'll skip Scrappy.
Good choice.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's family?
I would like to propose a question, which is Do a surname, but then why do some of them have Scooby and others have Do in their name? I would like to know the mechanics of how that family name works. Also, I am totally with DANII. I love Whoopsie-Doo. I don't see enough love for him, and he's one of my favorites all time. I am also like a diehard Scooby-Dum fan. He is my favorite, and sometimes I love him more than Scooby, which is like, that's probably bad, but I love Scooby-Dum. Like, would die for Scooby-Dum. And also just like an honorable mention to Doobie-Doo, which is like the Elvis of Scooby-Doo's family, which like that's kind of fun. Also in relation to Wendy's point, something that I just thought of was like, if any of the other Hanna-Barbera dogs could be in Scooby-Doo's family, which ones would you add?
Interesting.
I think I would add Huckleberry Hound.
Hmm.
He could be like a distant cousin.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I could handle that.
Like Augie Doggy
Hmm.
would be fun. A fun little mix.
Just throw Muttley in there, just to be weird. Right?
Yes.
Just like feel that.
Absolutely.
Then Horton and him might be friends.
Oh, that would be interesting. Oh.
Right? Ooh, origin of Muttley.
I would maybe throw Dino in there, even though he's not a dog. He's dog-like.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be the weirdest thing. Honestly, weird stuff happens all the time. It's like, oh, what about the dinosaur? Yeah, but dog that talks.
Also like the ghost dogs.
Everything's fine, whatever. A dog can turn into a werewolf? Question mark. A dog can turn into a human. Cursed activities.
That is my favorite thing. I'm gonna put that on the record.
It makes me so uncomfortable. I was like,
Can I borrow your shades?
like, what did I eat something bad before I watched this movie?
Oh gosh. Moving on to Scooby's speech disorder. It has an official name, according to DiscoverMagazine.com's article. It is called rhotic replacement, and it is a phonological disorder where he substitutes and adds sounds to his speech, typically R's in the beginning of words. He's not necessarily replacing letters, he's adding the R to everything. And according to the article, in order to mangle speech like Scooby does, something is wrong with the canine neurologically. The speech disorder is unknown among humans. I disagree that anything is wrong with him neurologically. I mean, he's a cartoon dog and he can talk. He's pretty freaking smart, if you ask me. I mean, he can talk. DANII, what are your thoughts on Scooby's speech disorder?
That's literally what I say every time people are like, explain how he can, like, explain his speech impediment. I'm like, that's rude. Dog learned how to talk, and you're like, impediment. No, impressive. It's impressive. And you know what? I bet Scooby learning how to talk helped Scrappy learn to talk clearly. Maybe it's just like, you know, it's an accent. It's the accent of dog learning to talk. Don't call it a speech impediment. That's rude. That's very, very rude. Like, we got to the point where dogs can talk and somebody's like, ha, bitch has a lisp. Like, no. It's impressive. Hey, how Scooby talks. You worked hard for that. That's what I'm giving there. Not fair. Not fair, man. And good for him for teaching Scrappy how to speak clearly. Right? Because if you look, like, Scooby-Dum doesn't talk like all the way straight, right? But then Scrappy is the next. Ruby talks quite clearly, so that probably helped. She's probably younger, right? So that you're passing it along. Yeah. See? Bam, accent.
But his parents talk normally. And his uncles, I mean Horton, and I guess
they have spice. They have spice.
Yeah, they got the R's going on. The parents,
yeah,
I think. A little
spice on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's speech disorder?
I don't think Mumsy Dude talks properly at all. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Bothers me. And yeah, I don't think Scooby has a speech impediment. He's got a snout. He's got like a waggly tongue. You can't talk like a human, like perfectly with a snout, I guess. Well, I don't know, because then Ruby talk. I don't know. It's just a fun, any article that brings Scooby to attention. It's fun. It's fun. They're just being cheeky with Discover. I'd be thrilled to pick up that magazine in a dentist office and see Scooby-Doo and go, oh yeah, this is fun, and then forget about it. I had more to say. It's all just left my brain. I'm done.
Yeah, I came in swinging. I'm vicious about that one.
Sure.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's speech disorder?
First of all, that article, like, could you imagine actually having to, like, pitch that for one, and then going to, like, a speech pathologist and being like, hey, like, I'd really love to talk about Scooby-Doo, and, like, can you please just, like, diagnose him? Because, like, for some reason, it's really bothering me. Like, let him talk. He can just talk how he wants to, because, like Danny said, like, that's a cool thing. That's a skill that he has. Like, why do we have to diagnose him? He's fine. He doesn't want to be diagnosed. He can talk. If he wanted a diagnosis, he would go to the speech pathologist.
Then he'd read the magazine, and then he'd be sad.
Yeah.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's speech disorder?
Guys, I'm so happy right now because I was going to rag so hard on this, and I'm like, everyone's going to be mad at me because they're going to just be like, oh, it's just so much fun. It's not fun. Okay? Scooby doesn't deserve this kind of treatment. I'm sorry. Some guy in the world spent 5,000 words. I looked it up. I put it into one of those character counters. 5,000 words on this nonsense. Guys, listen, okay. It's like the opening line of the article. The first time you hear Scooby speak, you immediately know something is off. Maybe the fact that it's a flippin' dog and he's talking? You mean that? That kind of off? Is that what you mean? You know what I mean? Like, wow. Because the world's full of dogs just running around, talking, rut-row. Oh, yep. Totally common. Totally common. But we're going to worry about how he's, like, rolling his R's instead. So, yeah. So, like Alexa said, goes to this speech pathologist, and the guy literally says to him, If a person walked into my office talking like Scooby, there's no question I would diagnose him with a speech sound disorder. If someone came into my office talking like Scooby, like he was a dog, I would diagnose him with a mental disorder because you're not a dog, okay? You're not a dog. I'm sorry, you are not. So can we put this to bed, people? He's a dog. It's actually not that fun that you're making fun of how he speaks because it's just stupid. There are plenty of things in Scooby where we can poke fun at it and we can make it a whole thing and it's enjoyable. But this one is like bottom of the barrel. Because even like Joel said, if you had like a 2-foot tongue in your mouth, you probably aren't going to be able to pronounce shit correctly. Probably not. I don't know. We could ask Gene Simmons someday because he would maybe know, but I would assume it's a problem. Okay, just
to be clear though, absolutely nothing wrong with anybody who has a speech impediment. We're not saying it's an insult to say Scooby has a speech impediment. It just feels like overly serious to be like, we have to figure out what disorder this dog has. And I feel like
why does it bother you so much?
Yeah, it kind of trivializes actual people who struggle with speech impediments and stuff like that. Like, don't compare them to a dog, please.
Yeah, and like, let's not normalize being like, oh, you have an accent, so you sound weird. Well, maybe you sound weird because if you have a different accent than me, then I could say that to you. No, maybe it's just because I'm from Canada and we say "oh" is apparently different than everybody else and everybody has a problem with it. Get over it. It's fine. We don't have a speech impediment either. And if you do, everybody, we love you anyway, okay? Let's just quit like criticizing people, all right? Like, stop. No more. Done. It's over.
We walking around going, right? The end of sentences. Rory. He's just Canadian. No speech impediment, just Canadian. I mean,
yeah. T-shirts. Let's make t-shirts. We need them.
Yes.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, that got a little heated, but that's good. I'm glad that everyone feels comfortable voicing their honest opinion because I thought it was pretty ridiculous that this article even existed.
Yes.
But, okay. Scooby's relationship with food. He loves food. Who doesn't love food? I mean, we all need food to live, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's relationship with food?
I think it's great. It's common. Every dog I've had, you can trust your dog with your life, but not with the pizza in the room. And you leave the room, that pizza's gone. They will find a way. I was telling a story where I left a ball of Pepto-Bismol on the table of a dog I was babysitting. And I left the room. And when I came back, there was pink poop all over the room. Dogs will get in everything. So Scooby, I think, the writers, they've had pets. They probably all noticed, laughed a bit, had stories like that about their pets. Everyone watching can relate who had pets with dogs, eating things, love food. And I think it's great. I don't think there's any controversy with it or whatever. I remember Panel, he had controversy about Scooby obesity or something, but I think it's just natural for dogs to like food.
I know all the dogs that I've had love food. Like Blue, he will eat everything and anything except lettuce. He doesn't eat lettuce or black olives, but everything else he eats. Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's relationship with food?
I would like to bring up the fact that it is very impressive that he can make things. Like, he's always like making sandwiches and stuff, and like, that's really cool. That's a great skill for a dog. Like, if I could just like sit on the couch and be like, hey, like, well, my dog's name is Char after Char Gargothicon in Mystery Incorporated. But that's a different story. But if I was like, hey, Char, can you go make me a sandwich? And then he could actually do it, like, that would be awesome. He could also make himself a sandwich, and then I would happily share with him. Like, that's great. He can like, dogs love food. Scooby-Doo's a dog. It all makes sense. It's great.
Very true. So I do want to know why your dog is named after Shargar Gothicon.
So my parents adopted him from the Humane Society, and they didn't know what to name him. So, like, having watched Mystery Incorporated, I was like, what if you just call him Chargar Gothicon, the dog that hath no name? As a joke, but they actually loved it. So now his name is Char.
Nice. I like
Great.
that. Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's relationship with food?
Yeah, I agree with Alexa. If I had a dog that I could be like, go make some popcorn and we'll watch a scary movie, and the dog could actually go do it and like melt some butter and throw some salt on it. I mean, come on. Every girl's dream. The only way that could be better is if we also had Scooby's metabolism so we could actually eat all of that stuff and still look like that, you know? Like, that would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, I do think that that was a very dog trait for them to give him. Because yeah, dogs eat everything almost. Although, guys, I mean, I guess that my dog ate, like, he loved green grapes, so that was kind of weird. But yeah, I see these videos now online of people like, oh, my dog was so good today, I gave him his favorite snack, and it's a flippin' green bean, like a raw green bean. And I'm like, really? Really? That's the best you can do for your dog, and your dog actually likes it? Like, that's cool if he does. I mean, great, it's good for him and everything, but like, really? I don't know.
Dog's favorite snacks.
Oh,
what if my favorite snack was a raw green bean? Are you making fun of me?
Yes, that would be weird too. I'd be like, why? Why? Good for you, and I'm jealous. I wish I felt the same way, but why? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it is though very impressive. I do like that they gave him, it's more than a human quality too, I would say, because lots of people don't cook. They don't want to learn how to cook. They don't care to learn how to cook. They don't, they'll go out if they want something or somebody else will make it for them. But the fact that Scooby like is pretty self-sufficient and can make pizza or pasta, or I mean, they make those cream puffs in Scooby a la mode, like this amazing, academy. He's a dog. And he's doing these things. I can't do those things. I can't make cream puffs. Scooby makes cream puffs. They make Ma Skillet's corn fritters. Wow. Like, I mean, this is our panel about Scooby, so let's appreciate the fact that he can talk and he can cook. That's amazing. And his tail can turn into like a key. His nose can like leave his body.
I was just gonna say that he can drive.
Exactly. It's amazing. Scooby's amazing, guys. Like, this is the point of everything. Scooby's amazing. We will hear no arguments to the contrary. The end. It is what it is. Accept it. It's fine.
Hashtag Scooby skills.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Make it a thing.
Danny, what are your thoughts on Scooby's relationship with food?
I'm gonna say I ate Scooby snacks just to make sure that's good. It was mostly Shaggy's. I don't know if anybody saw that. That was like 8 Shaggy's and 2 Wilmas. But it's definitely a very dog trait. But also, I think a lot of people say that like their pet starts to emulate them a little bit. So I'm like, well, if he's with Shaggy, right, and that's one of their bonding experiences, then he kind of like emulated Shaggy, and now they're just good pals having a little snack. And also, like, that's like a very social thing, right? Like, a lot of times people eat together because it's like we all have to, so well, let's make it a fun thing. So if it's like always like a treat and a reward, especially if you're being scared all the time, like, food motivated. I get it. I'll stand up sometimes too if I want a snack. Less impressive when I do it than when a dog does it. But sometimes I really get it.
Yeah.
talk about Scooby's catchphrases. So Ruh-roh and Scooby-Dooby-Doo are some pretty cool catchphrases, I think. I think it's funny when he says Ruh-roh. And I find myself saying Ruh-roh a lot. Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's catchphrases?
The more the merrier, I think. Let's make everything a Scooby-Doo catchphrase. I don't use any of them really in like my day-to-day life, but I have had people tell me that like depending on the situation, sometimes my laugh sounds like Scooby-Doo. So like, I don't know. Can we talk about how we all turn into Scooby-Doo if like dogs emulate their owners? Can we emulate Scooby-Doo? Is that a thing? I feel like it's just like infiltrated my life. So
I grew ears, so
werewolf, but Scooby.
Oh dear.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's catchphrases?
Yeah, I wish that every episode of Scooby that had ever been made ended with Scooby saying Scooby-Dooby-Doo at the end. I do. I really wish that was a thing, because it feels like it was a thing, the same as it feels like there were Scooby snacks in every single episode, even though there weren't. Because who but Scooby can get away with just like, it's his name, but it's also his catchphrase. Like, what level of cool do you have to be? You know, Scooby doesn't just sit at the cool kids table. Scooby's got like his own table, and no one can sit at it with him unless he invites them. That's the level of using your name. I mean, that's on par with MacGyver, you know, where your name becomes like a verb, which is so cool. I honestly can't think of anything that would be cooler than that. Like I someday may try to come up with some weird thing for myself. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. But yeah, interesting though that I think that Ruh-roh, Astro used to say that. So I don't know. Is it technically Scooby's catchphrase? I don't know. Because if Astro did it first, I mean, like, I love Astro, but also who cares? Because he's not Scooby, but just, who knows? I don't know. Is what it is.
We're counting Ruh-roh for Scooby. And I think it would be really funny, like, if every time you left a room, you just yelled your name in, like, some crazy way. And then you just turn around and walk out, like Scooby does at the end of the episode. Why not? DANII, what are your thoughts on Scooby's catchphrases?
That's how we all have to leave this call now. Like, if you want to leave, you have to be like, DANII! And then, like, hang up. Like, no other option. Keep it in mind. I think like Ruh-roh specifically turned into like the internet or the normie. I say normie because a lot of you are not like this. That's what people associate with Scooby, and I've seen a lot of people who like, they know Scooby, but they're not us, you know, and they'll say Ruh-roh when something bad happens, and I'm just like, what's going on there? And it kind of just brings me like a little smile. I like that it's people kind of like feeling the good Scooby-Doo energy and being like, this is more than an uh-oh moment, you know. This is like, it's like a very chill uh-oh, if that makes a lot of sense. But I like Ruh-roh for that reason. Even if Scooby doesn't really like say it a ton, even just that it turned into the people's catchphrase for Scooby, besides his name. I think it's literally, yeah, boom. See? Look at that. I was like, Rob. But yeah, I like that one as the meme Scooby catchphrase.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's catchphrases?
I Googled this beforehand, and I think the number one thing was probably written by AI. So they all kind of seem weird. So it wasn't Ruh-roh, it was Ruh-roh Raggy. I was like, huh. And like number 5 was Ritza Rye. Like, it was
Does
just
he
weird.
even say that often for it to
I think
be?
so. They had 30. They had 30. I only went to 5 because that's what they showed in the search results. I think the first one was Scooby-Dooby-Doo, but I don't think they like that's what I associate with like the end and his catchphrase. But yeah, I now wish I kind of went to see what all 30 were because they're probably all weird.
Open it up right now.
I don't have a browser.
Quick! We
My
need to know
computer's
what
crashing.
AI thinks.
Every time I open up Google, it'll crash my computer probably. And then before I won't have time before it freezes to yell out my name. So I don't.
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Our final topic is Scooby's love interests. We have Nova from Hodag of Horror, Amber from Alien Invaders. You know,
why is everyone looking at me?
You know?
How do you know? We're on Zoom.
I can feel it. I can feel it.
Lady Annabelle from Poodle Justice, Roxanne from A Scooby-Doo Valentine, the Hatfields dog in Ozark Witch Switch, Jeannie Pooh from Scooby-Doo and Jeannie Pooh, the female dog in the book Scooby-Doo Vanishing Valentines, Swiss Poodle in Scooby's Swiss Miss, Shauna from Scooby-Doo and the Beach Beastie, Scooby-Dee, I'm adding her because he loved her and it was weird and creepy and weird and no, but I'm adding her. Chiquita from Monster of Mexico, a poodle and a stray dog in Decoy for a Dog Napper, and a husky in A Scary Night with a Snow Beast Fright. Wendy, what are your thoughts on Scooby's love interest?
How did I end up starting this one? How? Well, I ship Scooby with the little spaniel from Decoy for a Dog Napper, and I feel really bad that Shaggy made Scooby snub her. I mean, I think she maybe took it a little far with the garbage can and the garbage, right? But she was such a cute little dog, and like he did give her the look, you know, and then just like walk by. I mean, that was kind of a jerk move, but yeah, I ship them together. Do we really need to address the elephant in the room that is that disgusting retriever creature thing? Do we? I don't think so.
Not for you.
I don't think that we need to go there because I think that we all.
How many hours do we have?
We're actually running out of time. So.
I mean, there's nothing worse than a dog getting hit on the road. Unless its name is Amber and it's from Alien Invaders. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Danny, what are your thoughts? Let's move on.
I like Chiquita and Scooby. I think that's one of the the nice things about that movie because it goes in some directions, doesn't it? But that's like it's just very cute the whole time. Very like when she goes up on the mystery machine to say bye to him. It's like one of the only times that I feel like Scooby isn't like a little bit rejected or something. That's just a cute thing. They're like, this is cute, here you go. So I appreciate that one a lot. As always, I don't think like romance stuff is like totally needed in any of the stories, so I do like it when it's not like that was just a little cute extra. It wasn't like Scooby getting his heart broken, you know, or anything like that. So those ones tend to be my favorite. I did like Poodle Justice too. That episode, the whole dynamic between Lady Annabelle and Scooby, because like she again never mean to him. It was even like really respectful when he was clearly getting embarrassed and doing kind of weird things. She was just like, I'll leave you be, okay? You're all right, and we'll just I don't know what's going on here, so I'm just gonna give you space. So yeah, that's kind of my favorite dynamic if we have to choose. Safe and wholesome.
Joel, what are your thoughts on Scooby's love interests?
I always like the little crushes, like the husky one. and the poodle one. That's as far. It's well, Scooby-Doo was cute, I guess. Little crush. If you think of the cousins thing, I don't think of the cousins thing. Yeah, I
Elaborate on not thinking about the cousins thing. How often do you apply that? I think that's the most important question I have to ask.
I don't imply it a lot, but I guess I grew up with it. My parents went to Pennsylvania a lot, to the Amish country, and they always had this kissing cousins kind of thing. I'm just digging myself a hole here.
You are. You
I
are,
don't-
Joel.
I mean, I
Quit while
live in
you're ahead.
Pennsylvania, and I don't think that's like a normal thing that people here do.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
How deep do the cousins go?
You're
If
on
it's,
a cousin.
if it's like 3 times removed, I don't know. I don't know.
If you, oh, good. If you had one like at bat, I'd be like, oh.
I've never had a crush on a cousin.
Good save. You're getting out of the hole.
I had a dog, a female
What?
dog, and this is where you think it's going. This dog was called
We're hoping it's not going where we think it's going.
this dog was called the Farrah Fawcett of dogs. Every time I took her for a walk, like just a gorgeous dog. I don't know how I ended up with her. All these other dogs would always run up to her, and the dog's name was Honey. She would just like turn her nose up at every dog, and you could see the heartbreak in all these dogs. And that's what I sometimes see in Scooby, I guess, and I can relate to Scooby in that sense. But then I just loved how this dog just kind of like snubbed every other dog too. It was kind of fun. I don't know what. I'm just trying to get off the kissing cousins thing.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on Scooby's love interest?
I think I would like to put on the record that unlike others on this call, I can't put aside the cousin. But like Danny, like I love Chiquita and I love Lady Annabelle as well. And I also like the Husky too. The one question that I have with all of not all of, but a lot of Scooby's love interests, why are they all small dogs? Like,
Agreed.
I love seeing Scooby with like kind of a similar size dog, because I like that dynamic better than like a dog that's like this big in Scooby. Like, it's cute. Like, I like it with Chiquita, but like, I don't know. It's strange, I think.
I wonder if it's like, because it's not the norm, but when you think about it, a lot of times the guy is taller than the girl, and maybe they were just kind of going with that.
Gender norms.
Yeah. I prefer no love interests, personally. And definitely not with his own cousin. That's just disgusting. Yeah. Anyway, any final thoughts on Scooby-Doo as a character? Danny?
I want more. He is the best plush. Obviously. Scooby plush is my favorite merch, and sorry, rest of the gang, you can't beat that. Look at that. What premium. Absolutely premium. So give me more Scooby plush and more good Scooby in the show. You know, technically you kind of left it off with Vilma, so he's not even there. No. More Scooby show with Scooby in it. Yes, thank you.
Joel, final thoughts on Scooby?
So, thinking about a lot of things. I'm thinking about green beans right now. And whether Scooby would want that or not. I knew a girl. She was vegan, and she said her dog was going to be vegan. And I just thought that was weird. I'm just really trying to get away from the kissing cousins.
You just brought it back.
I know.
Does Scooby like clams? Yes or no?
Yes.
Ooh.
No.
No.
We're concluding with the no clams.
I think so.
I like that. I like that.
Alexa, what are your final thoughts on Scooby-Doo?
We love Scooby. Also hashtag justice for Scooby Dumb and bring back Whoopsie Doo. That's all.
Wendy, what are your final thoughts on Scooby?
On a serious note, no green beans or kissing cousins or Farrah Fawcett dogs that we're going to ask Joel about as soon as we're done filming and what his relationship was with the dog. Anyway, on a serious note, the best thing about Scooby is that he is the culmination of all of the amazing, talented people who worked on that show, who helped create him, who looked at the target demographic and were like, what can we do that kids will love and that will be good for them? Because I do feel like Scooby is a good role model for kids. There's nothing about Scooby that I would not want to show children. And I feel like there's nothing that they couldn't potentially learn from him, because if you took all of Scooby's traits and you turned them into a person, be a pretty awesome person. Someone who acted like Scooby, had Scooby's manner, you know, that would be a really cool guy or girl or whatever. So I think that Scooby wouldn't be that, though, if the people that worked on him didn't also have some measure of those traits, because they didn't just come from nothing, you know? And so many people that have worked on the show have said that they love it. You know, for some people, it's just a job, and that's okay too. But I think Scooby is what he is because people have loved him, that worked on him. We love him. All of the people that watch it love him. And I think that that has helped keep him what he is and how he started out being. There's not a lot of deviating from that. And I think that's a great thing, because there is nothing about Scooby that we need to change. Scooby is perfect just the way that they created him in 1969. He didn't need to be something that he's not, because he's great then, he's great now, and Scooby's going to be forever. He really is, because what's not to love about him? I feel like there's nothing about him that I'm like, well, you know, you're great except for this, and then have something that I could criticize him for. I can't even criticize him for being cowardly, because when it counts, he can still do what he needs to do. And I think that's the most that any of us can hope to do. So whether you're a kid or you're an adult, you can always learn something from Scooby and take something positive away from him and the way that he treats other people. He's just the best. He really is. And thanks to all the people that put so much into giving that cartoon dog a soul, because Scooby has a soul. Scooby is not just a character. He is a whole other thing. He is on his own level. And yeah, no one's ever going to come close to that. They're just not. Scooby's he's like he's one bright little star in the sky, and he's just going to be there forever, because we're going to keep him there. We're going to do everything we can to tell people that, yeah, that right there, that dog star right there, yeah, he's pretty cool.
He is pretty cool. We love Scooby. If you can't tell by our backgrounds, we all love Scooby very much. And before things get weird again, we're going to wrap things up. So let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Alexa?
You can listen to the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram at UnmaskedSD Podcast. And if you like my nonsense, you can also follow me on TikTok at UnmaskedSD, where I just do ridiculous things. Hashtag no, it's not a hashtag. Just be cool Scooby-Doo friendship bracelets. I'm making it a thing. Make them, trade them with people, trade them with me. Let's go.
Wendy?
You can come find me on Instagram. I'm at WendyBRYDGE. On Twitter, I'm Wendy Loves Jesus, and my blog is wendylovesjesus.wordpress.com.
DANII?
I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, X, World Record Collector, and also I now finally on YouTube am posting long-form content, and you can find that under my name, DANII MEGER.
Woo!
Joel?
I just want to yell at my name and then leave.
You should have. Joel, you ruined the moment. Come on.
Cut. Jake, do it again.
Yeah. You can find me on YouTube, Planet Scooby.
And you can find all my links on ScoobyAddicts.com. Thank you for joining us for another Scooby panel.
Yay!
Scooby-Doo!
Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Julie Rosen, Ross from ScoobyFan.net, Tagus, and Elizabeth Maloney. If you would like to support the Scooby panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to Alexa LAWLOR from the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast, artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy BRYDGE, Scooby collector and record holder DANII MEGER, and Joel from Planet Scooby. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms or as a web series on YouTube. You can find Scooby Panel on Instagram, Facebook, and X as @ScoobyPanel. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Music composed and performed by Bovine Nightmares. Please join us next time for another Scooby panel.